I had been planning the homecoming for 2 years, not in the specific dramatic way, not the specific imagined scene of the specific heroic return with the specific crowds and the specific ceremony, in the specific private way of the specific man who is far from home and who needs a specific thing to hold on to, and who therefore constructs it in the specific imagination, with the specific care of someone building something that needs to last. I had imagined my wife at the door. I had imagined my son, born in 1941, for years old by the time I came home, a person I had never met, but whose specific existence had been the specific, most important fact of the specific 2 years. I had imagined crouching to his level, the way you read you're supposed to. I had imagined him saying something that would make it real. The homecoming was exactly what I had imagined. My wife at the door, my son beside her. I crouched to his level. He looked at me with a specific, careful assessment of the specific 4-year-old who has been told about this moment and who is now determining whether the specific reality matches the specific preparation. Then he said, "You're bigger than the photograph." I laughed. My wife laughed. My son decided this was good and climbed into my arms. For 3 weeks, it was exactly what I had planned. Then Margaret knocked on the door. I had met her in London in the autumn of 1943. I was on a 3-day pass. She was working at a canteen near the barracks. We had one evening together. Dinner, a walk. The specific compressed intimacy of the specific wartime encounter, where both parties understand that time is the specific scarcest resource available and where the specific normal progression of the specific normal relationship is therefore compressed into specific hours available. I had not written to her. I had told myself, in the specific way of the specific man who needs to believe the specific convenient thing, that the specific encounter was a specific thing that the specific war produced, the specific intensity of the specific moment that belonged to the specific moment and not to the specific life that would follow it. I was married. I had a son on the way. What had happened in London was a specific thing I was going to carry privately and permanently, and it was never going to come to my door in a small Ohio town in 1945. It came to my door in July 1945. Margaret was composed. I will say this about her now, with the specific benefit of the specific 70 years of the specific retrospect. She was composed in a way that required more courage than most things I had seen in the specific war. She had traveled from England to Ohio with a 2-year-old child, and she had found my address, and she had knocked on my door knowing, with complete certainty, that what she was about to do was going to destroy at least one life and possibly several. She was composed. She said, "You know who this is." I did know. The boy had my chin. My mother's eyes, which were also my eyes. I knew in the specific first second, and the specific knowledge produced a specific particular sensation of the specific ground moving under the specific feet, in the specific way that it moves when the specific thing you've been telling yourself cannot happen has happened. My wife was in the kitchen. She heard the door and came to see. She looked at Margaret. She looked at the boy. She looked at me. She said nothing. She went back to the kitchen. She closed the door. I stood at the front door for a long time. Margaret did not move. The boy, his name was James. She told me later she had named him James because she had not wanted to name him after me and had not wanted to name him after nothing. The boy was looking at the garden with the specific unself-conscious interest of the specific 2-year-old who has not yet learned that the specific moment he is in is a specific crisis. I said, "Come in." Margaret said, "Are you certain?" I said, "No, come in anyway." My wife did not speak to me for 6 weeks. Not the specific dramatic silence of the specific wounded person performing the specific wound. The specific literal silence of the specific woman who has received information so significant that she requires 6 weeks to determine what she's going to say about it. She fed me. She maintained the specific household. She cared for our son. She was, in every specific external measure, the specific functioning wife of the specific returned veteran. She did not speak to me. On the 43rd day, she came into the room where I was sitting, and she sat down across from me, and she said, "What are we going to do about the boy?" Not, "What are we going to do about you?" Not, "How could you?" Not, "I am leaving." What are we going to do about the boy? That sentence. 4 words about a child who was not hers, spoken after 6 weeks of carrying the specific weight of the specific knowledge, is a specific sentence I have returned to most often in the specific 70 years since she said it. It is a specific sentence that tells you who she was, not what I had done to her. Who she was. We talked for 4 hours. We talked about James and about Margaret, and about what the specific options were, and what each of the specific options would cost. Margaret had no family in America. She had limited resources. She had a 2-year-old child who was genetically and visibly connected to a man she had no claim on and who had no legal obligation to her. My wife made the decision. Not me, her. She said, "The boy comes here. The boy is not responsible for what his parents did, and the boy deserves better than the specific alternative. James comes here." She said, "Margaret does not come here. Margaret goes back to England. We find a way to support her there. James stays here." This was not a legal arrangement. There was no court order, no formal adoption, no specific document that would hold up to the specific scrutiny of the specific legal system. It was a specific private arrangement of the specific people in the specific circumstances, determined by the specific woman who had the specific most reason to refuse and who had decided instead to do the specific thing she considered right. James came to live with us in September 1945. He and our son, whose name was Robert, were 8 months apart in age. They grew up in the same bedroom. They attended the same school. They were, to the specific external eye of the specific Ohio town, brothers. The specific Ohio town asked no questions. Or rather, the specific Ohio town had questions and chose not to ask them, which is a specific particular social grace of the specific small community that understands what it knows and what it doesn't need to say out loud. People saw 2 boys. People saw my wife caring for 2 boys. People chose to understand this in a specific way that required the fewest specific difficult conversations. My wife sent money to Margaret in England every month for 12 years, until James was 14 and Margaret remarried. She sent without drama, without resentment that I could ever detect, from her own household budget, as a specific practical acknowledgement of the specific ongoing responsibility that the specific situation had created. I did not manage this. She managed it. I gave her the specific amount she asked for, and she sent it, and she never discussed it with me in terms that suggested she wanted either credit or acknowledgement. She was, I have said this many times in the years since her death, the most remarkable person I have ever known, not because of the specific forgiveness. I am not sure she ever specifically forgave me, in the specific sense of the specific deliberate act of the specific releasing of the specific grievance. She may simply have decided that the specific grievance was a specific less important thing compared to the specific practical question of what the specific situation required, and addressed the specific practical question without ever fully engaging with the specific grievance. This is not the same as forgiveness. It may be something harder. James and Robert grew up as brothers. They are, to this day, both men in their 80s now, the specific closest relationship either of them has. James knows the specific truth of his origin. We told him when he was 16, the specific year we decided he was old enough. He received the information with the specific particular stillness of the specific person who has suspected something for a long time and who is now receiving the confirmation. He sat with it for a week. Then he came to find my wife, not me, her, and he said, "I want you to know that you are my mother. Whatever else is true, you are my mother." She said, "I know, you are my son." That was the specific end of the specific conversation. They never discussed it again. I have been trying to understand my wife for 70 years. I have been trying to understand the specific quality, the specific particular grace that allowed her to make the specific decisions she made in the specific conditions that I had created. I have not fully understood it. I am not sure it is understandable from the outside. I think it was a specific expression of the specific character of the specific person she was, the person who, when presented with a specific impossible situation, asked not what has been done to me, but what needs to be done now. She asked that question in July 1945 when Margaret knocked on the door. She asked it every subsequent day for the specific 40 years of the specific marriage. The answers she arrived at were the specific practical answers of the specific situation. Send the money raise the child, maintain the household, never weaponize the knowledge, never make James feel the specific cost and the specific circumstances of his origin. She died in 1985. Robert gave the eulogy. James sat in the front row. At some point in the eulogy, Robert said, "She was the kind of person who, when she saw someone who needed help, asked how rather than whether." James nodded. I nodded. How rather than whether. That was who she was. That is who she had always been. The specific war had simply given that quality the specific, most extreme test it could devise, and she had passed it. And neither James nor Robert nor I had ever been in any doubt about whether she had passed it. I have spent 70 years trying to be worthy of her. I did not deserve her. I did not deserve what she did. I have tried to live as though I understood what she gave me, and the trying is the specific best I've been able to manage. Margaret remarried in England in 1957. We corresponded occasionally, over the years, not warmly, not as friends, but in the specific civil way of two people who are connected by a child and who choose to honor that connection without requiring it to be more than it is. She died in 1991. James attended her funeral in England. He was the only one in the U.S. who did, and that was the right arrangement. Robert and James are both still alive. They live 20 minutes apart in the same Ohio town, where they grew up in the same bedroom. They have dinner together every Sunday. Robert's children call James Uncle. James's children call Robert Uncle. My wife made this possible. She made it possible by asking how rather than whether on a specific July afternoon in 1945, when she had every right to ask neither and simply close the door. She didn't close the door. I have thought about that every day for 70 years. She didn't close the door.